Welcome to Scotland Shop. I am back on the sofa with our friend Oskar, the wedding guru. We are continuing our chat, and what I really want to know, I'm a bridesmaid coming up this year, is what are your predictions for wedding trends this year?
Firstly, congratulations. Being a bridesmaid is a very important role in the wedding indeed. There is a lot of change happening. I think we've had a bit of time of where weddings have been refined and defined again. So one of the things that I've actually seen is around the outfits. Very important, as we can see, part of the wedding. It is really a standalone feature of the wedding. 205% increase according to eBay on puff sleeve dresses. So definitely a requirement for me to say that you need to get yourselves in to start shopping for your wedding dresses. It's particularly inspired by Daphne and Lady Whistle Down and Co, especially in the past few months. We're seeing also an increase in the popularity of two-piece outfits for brides especially. I think it comes down to comfort as well quite a lot of the time. I still see a lot of wedding couples planning for maybe an outfit change. So having the traditional cathedral dress with a big veil and stuff like that, and then the comfort of entertainment. I mean, how difficult... I've never been in a dress myself, but how difficult could it be dancing your first dance song in a big puffy dress? It is a challenge. That's the reality of it. I think a lot more couples appreciate the comfort and the ease to do entertainment. Hence why couples are opting in for a change, maybe two-piece. A lot more couples are now infusing the trousers and the top as well. So that is very interesting to see and great, definitely a great advice to have there as well. The other thing that we see in popularity as well is the increase in rental. That is meant to increase up to £900,000 in the coming year for the second-hand rental of wedding dresses. And actually, interestingly enough, it's not only just a regular Joe that considers that for their wedding. We've seen that with Boris Johnson's wedding last year, where his partner Carrie actually used a second-hand dress for their wedding. So it's a massive trend. Again, leaning that towards the sustainability part of the wedding. We're moving away from the fast fashion to the slow fashion of reusing and repurposing elements of the wedding. I wonder if that's going to also have the impact on reusing our mum's dresses. Something that we've seen back in the day. Fashion likes to come back in trend again. Who knows? Just kind of thinking out loud here as well. And finally, the other trend that is quite prevalent in the consideration of couples is elopement and smaller weddings as well. Something we've talked about in the last interview. We're still seeing the strong element. You know, we were thinking once COVID is over, once restrictions lift, we will only have the big celebrations again. But actually, as I said in the last interview, couple have redefined the understanding of wedding and what it means to them, and actually quite often those intimate family get-togethers and parties that are non-traditional and unique to them have a lot better and different meaning to them as well. So that's something that I foresee in the coming years for the weddings as well.
We've talked a lot about outfits for the bride and groom and renting dresses. What about bridesmaids? Because that is always something that, you know, brides usually in white, although we do have a lot of changes in there as well.
Indeed.
But what are the colour selections and outfit lines looking for?
It's interesting. We've seen in the bridesmaids over the years, you know, the multi-tie dresses or the matching dresses and all these sort of things as well. Actually, what I'm seeing lately with wedding plan couples that I've got on at the minute, one in particular, Katie, very creative. There was a lot of going back and forth because that one likes trousers, this one likes sleeves, the next one likes a high bust, you know, all these elements to it, a lot of consideration to it. And what she's actually come to a conclusion of is, I want this colour. You go and shop yourselves. You're adult women, go out shopping yourselves, sort out, as long as it's a matching colour, really don't mind. I want you to be comfortable. It's meant to be an enjoyable day for everyone. That works for me as well. So that is another thing that couples do these days as well. In terms of colours, we're seeing a lot more earthy nude colours coming out as well, champagne. It's not just your kind of blush pinks and creams and ivory and stuff like that. We're really starting to infuse the colours, and earthy, rich colours are coming out into trend as well. So something that we'll see a lot of over the next season, I would imagine.
That sounds great. So something I always mention to our couples when we're getting fit for kilts is you always want to leave a little bit of space. You want a little bit of leeway. That's why we love a kilt, because you can adjust it. So you have got space for your food. And now something I always love at wedding is a good cake. Are there any particular trends going there?
We're not looking at traditional cakes anymore. I think the idea of a cake itself, actually just kind of coming back to the understanding of cakes were for presentation back in the day. They were just presented. You did the cake cutting for a photo opportunity, and actually couple only kept the top tier. Now that's probably not as traditional as we would see it these days, but couples are redefining what cakes mean to them. And again, coming back to the subject of personalisation, couples go on a bit of a journey of their childhood, their memories of when they met, the ice cream that they had on the first date, or the coffees that they really enjoyed, or the syrups that they had in the coffees. You know, we can really dive deep into the matter. Hence why we see a lot of cake makers nowadays offering a range of flavours, and actually being led by the couple. Salted caramel. What was the flavour that you mentioned before? Lemon.
We were talking about lemon and gin flavours
there
earlier.
You go.
Yeah, perfect.
And it was the Bakewell.
Cherry Bakewell.
That's right.
It was the wedding on Saturday. I was at Cherry Bakewell cake. It was absolutely delicious.
Precisely. You know, we're not just looking at the traditional Victoria sponge, cream sponge, that sort of thing, lemon sponge. We're really going out to town with regards to the flavours. And cakes, again, changing formats. They're not just your traditional tiered cakes. Yes, we could argue whether the cupcakes are still there. They are, maybe not as probably popular as a few years ago, but if you're looking for something different, you might want to opt for that as well. What I see with cakes, quite often, they're left for far too late in the wedding, not being really used. So if you can infuse that into a cake table or a patisserie table for the evening reception as part of your buffet, making it more exciting and interesting for the guests, you'll actually see the impact of that presentation and guests enjoying it a lot more. Cupcakes are practical because if guests don't have it then and there, they can take it away home with them at the end of the reception. So again, so many different ways you can do a cake going forward too.
And that links into our chat on sustainability as well, because you want to make sure everything's used. You know, you've seen cake left over at the end of weddings, 100%. And I guess people just aren't freezing that top layer of fruit cake for their firstborn child these days anymore. Not
at all. And actually quite hardly ever do you get the fruit cake these days. If there's anything, I see couples having those beautifully flavoured tiers and maybe having a little slab of cotton cake for the grannies later in the evening reception.
That's a relief. I can't stand it. And then we did talk a little bit about colour palettes earlier. Are you seeing anything in particular coming through with regard to flowers?
What we've seen for so long, the creams and the white colours and maybe the blush pinks are now being replaced by more defined colours of your earthy tones, nude colours that are matching more of the colour palette that is coming out nowadays as well. Flowers are still a little bit more tame in terms of the richness of the colour, but then when you're looking at the outfits where the richness is coming out, maybe the linens at the tables where you've got the really rich tones in the flowers, they're still a little bit more delicate, but more refined in colours, and we're bringing more of the adventurous colours into the flowers again nowadays. Again, when we're talking about the flowers, it's very important to mention that sustainability is a big factor in the wedding market. And we've seen, change in demand and supply when it comes to flowers, especially with flowers coming mostly from Europe to the UK these days. What's that really done is that couples are now considering also artificial and silk flowers for the wedding as well. And interestingly enough, you can infuse both. Quite often I see now florists working with a artificial structure and infusing fresh seasonal flowers into the mix to make it really pop on the wedding day in terms of arches, in terms of your centerpieces, maybe not necessarily bouquets because those tend to be very often fresh, but really giving it that kind of reusable repurposing it from the ceremony to the centerpieces, from the centerpieces to the evening reception. You can really be quite creative with that. Arches, I've seen them beautifully done for ceremonies that then become a centre stage for the wedding cake. Again, coming back to the topic, it brings it to the forefront and a lot more people notice it that way as well.
Yeah, it's a lot less wasteful, and if you're having something that beautiful, you want it there throughout the day. Really.
Absolutely, 100%.
And we've also discussed the size of weddings and things. Is this coming in with venue choices as well? What are you seeing trending there?
So definitely think that couples are looking at more non-traditional and unique venues. We've seen it over the years that, certain venues were having so many weddings, and then now couples are looking away from those venues because they want their wedding to be once in a lifetime experience, so different and so unique to them as well, which is great because more often we're now seeing restaurants being turned into wedding venues. We're seeing old barns turn into wedding venues, old warehouses. We've got fantastic venues here in Edinburgh, throughout Scotland in fact, that are maybe never been used for wedding venues and are starting as wedding venues these days as well. So it is great because it gives couples quite a lot of freedom and flexibility. Another thing for those of you who are joining us around the world is the fact that in Scotland we've got one of the most relaxed marriage laws in the world. You can absolutely get married anywhere you want, in the middle of the water, on top of a hill, jump in with a parachute from the plane. The choice is yours, which lends itself perfectly if you want to have a unique wedding planning experience for your special day as well. So don't define yourself to a hotel or a venue. If you've got an idea and you're quite happy to run with it, go for it. Highly recommended as well. The other thing when it comes to venues, it's not so much just about the venue, it's about the experience that comes with it. And I think, we've had 2 years of very tame birthdays, anniversaries, all these other events, that now when weddings are coming out, they're not just a wedding, they're an experience in itself. We're seeing a lot more adult playground kind of concept to it, having piñatas at weddings, beer pongs, axe throwing, petting zoos at weddings. I mean, alpacas have exploded everywhere. Every venue is now having an alpaca, which is great because it's not just a drinks reception or a cocktail hour, as some of you might know it as. It's an experience. You're not just standing there with your cocktail, you're having a wonderful time and you can participate in various different things. And the time flies so fast as well. The other thing is with guest books. Back in the day, we had a traditional guest book where everyone signed it. And we're now seeing guest books that are more interactive. Having magic mirrors that are not only a photo booth, but actually leaving a message for the couple that they can watch back after the wedding. Absolutely wonderful way of digitalising the memories as well. So important in this day and age. Again, sustainable. And then we've got the concept of the evening entertainment. So important to the experience of the wedding. We're not only seeing now bands or DJs, but we're seeing complementing acts coming to it. You've got, performers, you've got one-off act DJs, you've got drummers, you've got saxophonists, you've got acrobatics at weddings these days as well. What I really love actually lately for the drinks reception is not having just the tray service of your champagne or your cocktails, but it's actually actors dressed up in period dresses that have the rig for wearing the cocktails around you, and they're coming and performing around you and encouraging you for another drink as well. So just really that concept of celebration, the circus theme is coming into that, the performing theme, the entertainment theme is coming massively into weddings over the next couple of years too.
So what I'm hearing is that Bridgerton has a lot to answer for with party throwing at the moment.
100%, and The Greatest Showman too.
Oh, very true, very true. As long as, it's not your uncle that's singing, you're fine.
That's definitely true too. If you would like to check in with myself, you can head over to my website, which is theweddingguruoskar.co.uk, Oscar with a K instead of a C, and you'll be able to check out my social media content, a lot of the wedding planning tools and elements, and you can also book in for a call with me as well.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Oscar. Thank you for watching, and please do remember to subscribe. There's a lot more content and information coming your way.